Hi guys, welcome back. So in today's video, I am reviewing my mid-size luxury bags. This isn't quite a mini bag, it's not quite a huge tote, it's just that kind of in-between size, and to be honest, it's one of my most frequently used bag categories because I just find them great for everyday life. You know, they aren't so huge that they feel cumbersome with your outfits, but at the same time, you can fit everything in that you need to. So I have a variety of price points here, a variety of styles. Hopefully this will be useful if you are shopping within this kind of size category. I hope you guys enjoy this, and let's get started. So coming in at number one, I have my Saint Laurent puffer bag, and I absolutely love this bag. I've spoken many times about how great I think it is, but it really does tick a lot of boxes in terms of just being so functional, a pleasure to use, and also really looking great as well. It is a very, very lightweight bag, and it is lined in fabric, and you don't have any extra divides or anything, so the capacity is very, very decent, and you are also just not having to fiddle around with things. Like, it's just a seamless bag to use, which I really appreciate. The leather is also just stunning quality, and when you first feel this bag, you're just like blown away by how nice and soft the leather is, but at the same time it's extremely robust. I haven't found any issues with wear and tear at all, and I just absolutely love this bag. I have owned different versions as well. I've also owned the larger version. For me, the small size is kind of perfect for my life and my lifestyle. I do find it very versatile as well because it's big enough I can fit in all my essentials, but at the same time it's not so big that I feel like it feels awkward for a nice dinner out or anything like that. It just is kind of perfect. So I really appreciate that. You do also have that dual hardware and leather strap combo, so it sits really nicely on your shoulder. It's very, very comfortable to use. The lack of weight also really helps as well. You have that very nice classic YSL logo, and even though I feel like when this first came out, I kind of thought it was more on the trendy side, I still loved it though, and it was an instant love for me. I feel like these have had surprisingly good longevity, and I just think it's a really, really great style. And everyone that I know that's owned this bag also is just so in love with it and just thinks it's so great. So for me, this is definitely deserving of my kind of favorite or number one spot. I just think it's so fantastic. And coming in at number two for me is the Saint Laurent Lulu, and I feel like once upon a time I probably would have recommended the classic Lulu over the puffer, but even though I do still absolutely adore this bag, I do feel like the puffer edges it slightly in some ways. Namely, I prefer the lack of dividers in the Lulu puffer. This one does have a divider in the middle, which does limit the space a little bit. I also find that the slightly more casual look of the puffer does lend itself to more outfits, and again, I still think it works very nicely for a more dressy outfit. Also works very well for casual, whereas I feel like this is a slightly more a classic traditional look where I feel like it does lean a bit more dressy. So for me, it's not quite as versatile as the puffer. That said, there's not a huge amount in it, so if you're deciding between the two, I'd probably say just to go for the one that you prefer the look of. There are a lot of good things to say about this bag. Again, you have that really nice combo gold chain and then leather strap. Very, very comfortable on the shoulder as well. The leather straps on these are also a bit more malleable than my puffer one. And then you do also have that nice kind of classic flap opening. And then on the inside, you do have a big pocket there at the front, big pocket there at the back, one slip pocket, and then a zipper compartment right there in the middle. Again, I would always prefer a wide open space, but if you like organizers in your bags, then you might love this one. The leather is also very, very nice quality. And even though, again, it's more of a soft leather, it's not a grained one, which typically speaking is a bit more robust than a smooth leather, I've actually found this to be very, very robust in terms of the wear and tear, and crucially I haven't found any structural issues as well, which is my number one bugbear when it comes to wear and tear. You know, I can kind of look past a little bit of wear on corners and things like that, it's to be expected, but if a bag begins to lose its structure and you begin to see dents and it's collapsing in on itself, for me that's a big no-no, whereas actually I find that this does very, very well in terms of the structure, despite not being an overly rigid solid bag. So you kind of get all the benefits of a really kind of soft, plush, luxurious experience without having any structural issues as well. I think part of that is the reinforced base and just little elements that they've done to make sure that it does stand up to a lot of use. But I do really think this is such a solid style, very classic looking and just generally super gorgeous. Next up is the Marc Jacobs small tote, and I just think this is so great. It has totally won me over. I've not had it for that long, but I've been so impressed with it in the time that I have had it. And I just feel like it's a fantastic value style. It's certainly not the most expensive bag I have in this lineup, but I do think it stands up to the others in terms of quality, functionality, and I also think it's super cute as well. So this is the small size. There is also a mini size, which is a little bit smaller, and also sizes bigger than this too. This is the full leather version, and for me, I do think I got the perfect size and material for me. I wanted something that was nice and pulled together, a nice quality, but not something that was so expensive that I'd really freak out about it. I wanted this specifically for kind of days out with Leo. He always has sticky hands, he's always picking things up, so I wanted something that was wipe clean and easygoing, and this is exactly it. The wear and tear is like non-existent. Like, it's so robust. The leather is actually very nice quality though, and it feels like nice quality when you're holding it and just looking at it. It's just really nice. You do have the tote bag Marc Jacobs right there, but because it's kind of tonal, I feel like it doesn't stand out too much, and you can see it, but it's also quite subtle as well, which I like. The MVP of this bag though for me is just how large it is. Like, I don't feel like it looks particularly huge, but you can fit a ton in this. Like, I don't need to carry a separate bag when I'm using this for Leo, because I can fit everything in that I need to. I pop in a few nappies, some wet wipes, usually a snack, and then I have my bits and pieces as well, and it does just fine, and it's so great. Despite that, it is not a heavy bag at all. Obviously, if you fill it completely full, it gets heavier, but that's a consequence of the items rather than the bag. And I just think it's great. You do have that leather lining as well. You have a nice adjustable strap just to hook onto either side. You can also carry it very easily with the top handle. It is comfortable both ways. And I just think this is such a solid style. So if you wanted something and your main goal was, practicality, you wanted something really functional, but you still wanted a nice bag, this I would highly recommend. Like, it's so nice. You can often find them with a discount code as well, so I would say to wait it out if you did have your eye on one. They come in a whole bunch of different colors, and I just love this. Like, so great, and just such a fantastic, functional, but also super cute bag. Next up is my Saint Laurent supple shoulder bag. This is from the 5 to 7 or Sonka set line. They have a whole bunch of different bags within this lineup, all kind of different shapes and sizes and styles, so it is quite a large lineup. This one is the large shoulder bag, I believe. So there is a size up, there is a size below. This is the large one. I do think it is the right size for me, but if you are more on the petite side, you might want to consider the size down. But I think this is a great style. I did a kind of mini review of this in a recent favorites video, and I kind of outlined my thoughts there. But essentially, I've been really liking this. I think there are a lot of good points. There are a few niggles as well. I don't love the fact that it's quite a soft bag, which obviously I knew going into it, but it does have a habit of collapsing in on itself. So if you do like your more structured bags, I don't think that you're going to get along particularly well with this one. That said, because of the softer slouches shape, it is a little bit more versatile in terms of the look. So obviously you can have the YSL logo right there, which you can hook easily right there to properly close it. But if you did want something really under the radar and you were a little bit concerned about pickpockets or anything like that, you can just pop that YSL logo right in like that, and it just looks like the most unassuming bag. Like, it's not going to draw attention, and I just love that. I love that you can adapt it to your situation, your circumstances. I think that's a huge selling point. But it's also just, a really beautifully made bag. It is very comfortable to wear because of that great thicker shoulder strap. Very lightweight as well. It is a little bit of a bottomless hole, so that is something you have to keep in mind. You can fit a laptop in here if you need to. I don't use it for that, but I mean, as you can see, like, it is huge. You can fit in everything that you might want to and then some. So it's very functional in that way. This has been my daily bag ever since I got it, and I do really like it. The wear and tear has been pretty great so far. Obviously, it's a slouchy style to begin with, so you do have to factor that in, but for me, this has been a solid buy. I do feel like it was maybe priced a little bit on the higher side because it's a pretty simple bag. You're not getting too many bells or whistles. It's a very simple shape. So for me, it is priced a little bit high. But that said, if it's within budget, you wanted a style like this, I do think it's a really lovely one. I have been enjoying using it. Next up is my Loewe puzzle bag, and this is definitely a newer one in my collection, but I can already tell from the few times that I've used it that I don't think it's as functional as the ones that ranked higher, but at the same time there are a lot of things I like about this bag already. One, I love the different ways you can wear it. It's a very comfortable top handle, again so easy to just grab and go. I love the fact you have the longer shoulder strap though as well, so I most frequently wear it just on the shoulder. You can wear it crossbody, but to be honest, it's a little bit bulky for me to wear crossbody, so I tend not to wear it like that too much. My number one thing, and the reason why it just isn't as functional as the ones higher up on this list, is the opening. And this is something that I knew as soon as I got it, but whilst the opening is fairly wide, if they had just extended the zipper right down to the side there, you would have so much more space to maneuver, and in general, it would just make it a much more functional, easy to use bag. So I do think that would make a huge difference if they did release a version that did have that nice side zip. Nonetheless, you know, it's not a super big issue because you do still have a fairly good opening. You can fit a decent amount of items in as well. You do have a fabric lining, so it is quite a light bag, but it still feels like very, very nice quality. I do hear all the time that this new kind of redesigned puzzle is not a patch on the original. I don't have that comparison. I'm not familiar with the original, I don't own it, but I can say that I do really like this one. I love the leather. It's a really beautiful pebbled leather, which just feels so robust. I have gotten a couple of marks on it and they've just been wiped clean. You have that beautiful stitching all the way around. Like, it just looks like a very high quality bag. And it's also really nice in terms of it looks very minimal, very chic, very pulled together. But if you know bags, like, you know what this is. So it's kind of an in the know style. I just really love it. You have that very subtle Loewe logo right there. You have that really nice pocket as well on the back. And I just love how they've incorporated the pocket into the stitching design. It's just very seamless and smooth. It's a very smooth zip as well. And the pocket does go down a fair bit as well. So in terms of attention to detail, I just think this is so great, very comfortable to use as well. My only kind of downfall with this bag is the opening. I wish it was extended down the side, but that is pretty much my only issue with it so far, and I haven't really been enjoying using it. Next up is my Chanel 19 bag, and there is a lot to love about this bag, but I think it also has a lot of issues as well. So, you know, the biggest one is quite obviously the price. All Chanel bags are insanely expensive, whether that's the classic flap to the seasonal styles, like they're all a lot of money. Some are more insanely expensive, but you're not getting a bargain at Chanel anymore, you're just not. This one is now priced at over £5,000, which is an awful lot of money. And especially considering, you know, whilst the 19 has proven to be very popular, I think unexpectedly so in terms of just how many years it has been popular already, I don't think it's the same level of classic as the classic flap, and you are still paying an awful lot of money. You know, over £5,000 is not a small sum, and it's even more in other currencies as well. So I'm not sure it's worth it, if I'm honest with you. I did get mine pre-loved. I was happy with the price I paid for it. I don't think I would have paid full price for this. It's just simply too much. That said, I do really like it. I think it has that beautiful 19 look. You do have that great classic turn lock. I would say that the structure really isn't great with the 19 bag, so if you are thinking about getting one, a liner is absolutely a necessary investment for me. Like, you just need that additional structure, I think, with this kind of bag. You do have the hardware as well, and the hardware is just the most substantial hardware ever. Like, it is very, very heavy duty. It looks heavy duty, it feels heavy duty. Like, I'm pretty sure the chains just outweigh the overall entire bag. They are just very, very heavy. It is a very comfortable bag to carry though. You do have that great leather strip right there, so very, very comfortable. You have a nice, very roomy pocket on the back too, so it is pretty functional, but oh, it's just a lot of money. Like, you could get at least two of the other styles I mentioned for this amount, and again, I don't think you're getting a bag which is still going to look as current in 10 years time. So for me, whilst I love it, I don't think the price justifies how classic it is, the structure, anything like that. So I love it, but I definitely wouldn't rank it any higher than I have done. Next up is my Tory Burch Elana tote, and I am a bit torn about this bag because I haven't really been enjoying it, and I don't really have anything this structured and formal in my collection. Like, I tend to go for bags which are a little bit more versatile, whereas this is a full-on, very formal, very, very ladylike bag. which I kind of love. Like, it's just gorgeous. It looks so much more expensive than it was as well, and I did get it with a discount code, which definitely helps, but the quality does feel so nice for what it is. So you have these suede sides, which are a little bit unexpected, but I actually really like it, and then this gorgeous smooth black exterior. Like, it's so nice. You have a nice solid very firm base with the feet right there, and then the lock is just so nice. It's very strong, and it does close with a magnet. Like, it's strong, like really, really strong. And then on the inside, you have a divider right there in the middle. So it is a little pocket one, which does close. And then you have two wide open compartments right there. And you can hold it with the top handle, but they do also give you this nice longer strap as well. It's not super long, but I do think it's the right length for this kind of bag. I would say though, and the reason why it doesn't rank higher for me is, one, the leather is quite delicate. The suede obviously is suede, you know, it is quite susceptible to marking. But the smooth leather, it is quite prone to scratches and marks, and this is just not a bag that you can use in a carefree way. Like, you are going to have to be a little bit careful with this style. It's also not very light. Like, it feels like a substantial bag, it is a substantial bag, but for me, this is the bag you choose if you have a big meeting or a big lunch and you want it to look, you know, super chic and pulled together. Maybe you don't want anything as flashy as, you know, Chanel, Louis Vuitton or anything like that, but you just want it to kind of elevate your outfit without being the absolute like showstopper. This is perfect because I just think it looks fantastic. Like, it is so, so gorgeous, but it's just not that practical, if I'm honest. So I'm glad it isn't a multiple thousands of pounds bag, because I don't think it would be functional enough for me to keep. But considering the price point and considering how much I just love the look of it, I do actually still think it was a good buy, if that makes any sense. I'm probably not making any sense, but in my head, this still works. I don't have any other bags like this in my collection. It does kind of fill that need for me. I think it looks so beautiful with the right outfits. And it's just a stunning, stunning bag from Tory Burch. And if it wasn't for the Tory Burch logo, I don't think that you would assume it is from a kind of mid-range bag. It just feels like a much more substantial, very, very luxurious style. So, you know, a mixed one for sure. It doesn't fit a huge amount because of the dividers. It's very stiff leather. It isn't that easy to maintain, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And if you want something that is going to elevate your smarter outfits, this is still a very nice option to consider. And then next up, I do have my Louis Vuitton Empreinte Speedy B, and I have documented my issues and concerns with this bag before. I think that there is a lot of good things to say about this one as well, but a lot of things that I haven't really been able to look past, and overall I would say this is probably one of my more disappointing purchases from Louis Vuitton. That said, I still own it, so I do still really like it, but as I mentioned before and alluded to before, I find that the kind of structure and the wear and tear on it hasn't been that great. I do always and exclusively use it with a bag liner, but despite that, I do find it denting right there in the middle, and even on the sides you can see that the structure isn't quite there. And I've had a variety of comments about this, everything from that's just the way the bag is, mine looks like too, and that's just part of the style, to oh my god, that's absolutely a faulty bag, you should return it to Louis Vuitton. So there seems to be mixed consensus about whether this is supposed to happen with the bag. I'm not sure whether it is or it isn't, but for this price point of bag, I would certainly hope that it did have a better structure, and I just can't really look past that. And it does really kind of affect the look of it for me. And I have had this issue with other Empreinte bags as well, and it's definitely made me reconsider other Empreinte styles. Like, if I was going to go for Empreinte in a bag again, it would have to be in a very, very structured format, nothing where I would have the option of this kind of collapsing, because I just like my bags to be a bit more structured than that. So that's definitely a big thing for me. That said, it does have the opening that I wish the Loewe puzzle did. So it does open right there on the side, so you do get a really nice wide opening. As you might imagine, it fits an absolute ton, and I do have a bag liner in here, but even with the extra space that it's taking up, I can fit in a ton of items in here, which is always very, very welcome. It is very comfortable to use. It's nice to carry with the top handle. It's also very nice with the shoulder strap. I would also say though that I do find this a little bit bulky to wear crossbody. I just feel like it's too large of a bag. You could definitely get away with it with a small size, and depending on your preference and your frame, you might also be able to use it as a crossbody as it is, but for me, I just feel like it juts out a little bit too much, so I don't really like to wear it crossbody, but it is still very, very functional just as a top handle and just over the shoulder bag. And I do think it is very beautiful. You know, I like the fact that you have that embossed LB logo, so it is there, but it's not super, super in your face. It does also feel like a very fancy bag too. It's not the lightest of styles, but it's not super, super heavy either. It's just kind of that in between, I say. Not a huge plus point, not a huge negative, but for me, the general wear and tear, the lack of ability to wear it comfortably crossbody for me means that I just wouldn't wholeheartedly recommend this. And then coming in last is my Gucci Dionysus, and I feel bad about listing this one last because I really do like it a lot. But it hardly has any like really strong good points and just a whole host of bad ones. So for one, it's so heavy, like it's so heavy. It's a very, very substantial bag, and everything about it is substantial, which, you know, is a good thing, but in terms of actually liking to wear it, it's just not that comfortable. You know, it's very heavy hardware, it's very heavy leather, you have extra hardware with the clasp as well. It is a very substantial bag, and that's being empty. You know, as soon as you put things in there, it feels like a weight. You also though can't fit a lot in, so I don't feel like it looks like a particularly small bag, but because you do have that big kind of divider right there in the middle, you are quite limited. Like, you can't fit in a ton for something of this size. And also because of the chain as well, you know, you don't have any leather cushioning right there, so it's also not very comfortable, so it definitely digs in a little bit. And yeah, it's just not super functional. That said, I still have it in my collection because I think it's so beautiful. Like, all the Dionysus line I feel like is a work of art. Like, the clasp is just so stunning, it looks very elegant as well, the structure is pristine, like it's a very like solid bag, like it feels like a solid bag. So I do think that even though, you know, you can get marks on the leather here and there, generally speaking it is quite good in terms of just wearing and maintaining the style, but it is also very expensive. And I always find a lot of Gucci bags like weirdly expensive, and I do think this is a pretty classic style. You know, the Dionysus line is nothing new, but I easily feel like they could be £1,000 less and then still be, you know, a pretty good purchase, which is still very luxurious. So for me, even though I do really like it, I just think that in terms of this size category, I do think that there are other options which are more functional, better value for money, more comfortable to wear, can fit more, and just so many different elements as well. So whilst I love it, and if you love the look, then, you know, I still think you'll fall in love with the bag because look how beautiful. If you do want something that's actually going to be able to seamlessly work with your life, I don't really think that this is it. It's a looker, but just not the most functional. So that is it for this video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it and you found it useful if you are looking for a bag in this size category. I hope I covered everything that you wanted to know. If I missed anything out, then leave me a comment down below and I will try and get back to you. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.